From the center of the galaxy, and often direct from Patreon, but today from the public and in the public eye, this is ForceCenter Presents Will of the Force. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I'm happy to be here in public with a book.
In public with a book. Here's the scene. We've shared some of these in the public before, but this one is fresh for the public. We do this show as a Patreon exclusive. It's our long-running series, Will of the Force. But Joseph, we've been catching up on recording schedules, wanted to get an episode out, and we thought, hey, let's have some fun while also kind of advertising one of the things we offer our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, exactly. As we've looked over it over the last several years, we are lucky to be able to grow and keep the podcast running by many, many different means. But the most consistent one always is the kind support of patrons. We've had some setbacks over the last couple of weeks and been a little bit light on episodes. So we needed to get an extra episode out this week. And we figured, why not share this thing that we just have so much fun doing monthly for our patrons? And then if you're like, hey, that looks great, I would like to join, that would be wonderful. If not, enjoy us talking about a random page in this Star Wars visual guide.
That's right. We are currently working our way through Star Wars Dawn of Rebellion, the visual guide. These are a lot of fun. What we'll do is Joseph will pick a page randomly. We'll turn to it. I think you got up to page 139, and we'll discuss what's on those pages, because sometimes it's one page, sometimes it's a splash page, or we get some context. So Joseph, without further ado, where is the Will of the Force leading you today?
The Will of the Force is calling me to talk about whatever might happen to be on page 47.
Page 47, okay.
So close to Kenobi. Oh boy. It's a big one.
That is huge.
It is plenty to talk about. It is basically between 47 and 46, the Inquisitorius.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most complex, confusing, ever-evolving topics in this era of Star Wars storytelling.
Yes, because and we're still adding to this with now the additional information of Barriss Offee, or the confirmation of what a lot of people thought would happen, that she'd be part of the Inquisitorius. All right, so yeah, you pick page 47, but it is we got to go also to page 46, the Inquisitorius. The Inquisitorius program is one of many plans in place prior to the fall of the Republic. Ooh, we'll come back to that. Darth Sidious correctly determined that following Order 66, he would need powerful and skillful hunters to cull Jedi survivors of the Purge. In a twist of fate, many of these Inquisitors were former Jedi that displayed desirable qualities for the program. It goes on to explain some stuff about Palpatine keeping watch over the vulnerable Jedi during the Clone Wars. I love that. Prospective Inquisitors were broken down until they capitulated to the dark side or resisted until death. And then we have a long list here. Well, I'll just run through. We got second sister, fourth sister, fifth brother, seventh sister, eighth brother, ninth sister, 10th brother, 13th sister, and the Grand Inquisitor. This page does not include Reva, because she is on the next page, which we did cover, actually, in the previous episode of Will of the Force. Joseph, there's a lot on here to cover. Where do you want to go first?
Oh, man, there's so many great things. That I love that big picture thing that we were talking about of the nature of the Inquisitor program. The sentence, following their subjugation, they were given a number and let loose on the galaxy. I love describing the Inquisitors like they are violent deli sandwiches, given a number and set loose on the galaxy. It's also, fun to, this is one of the things I love these books for, things that, like, I'm pretty sure I knew that, and then it's fun to just read it. That, of course, Palpatine was planning this prior to the fall. We get that in the recent Tales of the Empire episode where Barriss is watching the temple burn, and she's already been, invited into the program. Palpatine has already turned some Jedi. But I love also this sentence that you read: Palpatine kept watch over these vulnerable Jedi during the Clone Wars, ensuring they were spared. And I don't need to know the actual mechanics of that. But I love that Order 66 came with an asterisk of, like, not that one, though, because they got some issues.
Well, talking about just fun headcanon or details we don't yet know, but, like, I would love to, is there a supercut where now there's, like, Palpatine's hologram pops up and it's like, execute Order 64. Oh, good, you're safe. Or do they turn to the fourth sister and go, now's the time? You've been waiting. You signed your onboarding paperwork, but your job starts now. Like, that's what we kind of got from that Barriss Tales of the Empire episode.
Yeah, that the fourth sister was already primed and ready to go. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely, and it would appear the Grand Inquisitor already primed and
Yes.
ready to go. And yeah, and we have not had a chance. Well, you started it, the 13th Sister book, Rise of the Red
Yes.
Blade. I haven't read that one yet, so maybe there are more details in there. But
Yeah, and sadly, I just want to think. So it was during the strike. I started reading it and got about halfway through, and then life just got busy, and I haven't picked it back up. That's on me. It's on the book. It was fascinating. It had some very real world takes on the Jedi Order at the time that I was
mm,
excited to maybe one day discuss with you, even off air, not even on air. But yeah, she's an interesting character as well. I do think the conversation we can turn it to where this kind of all began, which is the
hmm
Grand Inquisitor. Once a Jedi Temple guard, the Powans served the Order dutifully for many years. Curious about the vast knowledge the Jedi held, he sought to dig through the Order's troves of secured data files and holobooks, only to be routinely denied by superior Jedi. This ultimately led to the Powans' descent to the dark side upon the execution of Order 66, resulting into his transformation into the Grand Inquisitors. Knowledge of the Jedi is a powerful asset in his quest to hunt them down. Wonderful story there. More information comes out of it with each bit of storytelling we got, including what you just said, that he was raring and ready to go, and he already picked out his outfit and everything. He was ready on Order 66 Day. But this is the first character. This is the first one. Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. He shows
hmm
up, and I didn't have what I would describe as a negative reaction, but I had kind of a is this low rent Vader? We couldn't get Vader for this series, and now we got this guy. So I have come to appreciate him in a different way than I did in 2014. You?
Absolutely. I think this is one of those many lessons about perspective and patience.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, as many people did, and I think it don't even have to be from our generation. But if you just saw the original trilogy first, and you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, Vader helped the Emperor hunt down and destroy the Jedi, and you
Mm-hmm.
pine and pine and pine to see that, and
Mm.
you finally get to a place like Rebels, where like, all right, let's go. And
Yeah.
then I felt like my initial reaction was I didn't dislike him. I thought he was cool. I thought
Mm-hmm.
the helicopter lightsaber was a little over the
My
top, but
favorite. Yep. Yep.
in a way that's like Star Wars is wild. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt like why not Vader? Isn't this is what Vader is for? This is what we've been
Right.
told since the beginning he did, right? And I have this grumble, grumble, grumble. And then Rebels goes on, and two things happen. One, I realize this is so we can put Vader over
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
unstoppable, because at this point, people at Kanan and Ezra's level, they can maybe escape Vader. Maybe.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't defeat him. And
Right.
and so, oh, great. This serves a sort of practical narrative function of
Mm-hmm.
building Vader up. And then from that, all these rich characters, all these rich ideas that reflect back on the Jedi Order, the more stories we get of Inquisitors who manage to free themselves from this pain, are
Mm.
this great sort of like a fist pumping victory for the light side, in
Mm.
victory for the Jedi. All this rich storytelling, all these rich characters eventually come out of it. So for me, the Inquisitors and the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels in particular is a reminder that to not be entirely tied to your perspective, to be
Yeah.
open to new ideas, and to have patience for them to pay off.
Yeah, with you on that, and yeah, going back to Kenobi looking off into the distance and saying, well, there was we're no more the Jedi, and we were hunted down by Darth Vader, and yeah, I grew up with that, and that was part of the challenge. But I think even just some of the recent information you and I just discussed with the Tales of the Empire stuff, it just makes a ton of sense. It just makes me think, yeah, Palpatine has all corners covered. He has all angles in mind when he's coming up with this stuff. And the fact that, part of the fall of the Jedi isn't that they were defeated in some battle of light versus dark. It's that they crumbled from within. So along the way, you're going to have your Pong Krells. You're going to have your Proset Dibs, who's 10th brother. You're going to have Force Sister, who are like, I don't know. Or you're going to have Grand Inquisitor, who's like, yeah, I was Jedi Temple Guard, and they wouldn't even let me inside. All I wanted to do was learn more, and I was kept outside. And you're going to take that, you're going to twist it, you're going to turn it, and you need the help. The galaxy's pretty big. A lot of Jedi did survive, and this makes more sense to me the more I go on with it.
Yeah, and what Obi-Wan said is still true. This program is led by Vader, and
Yeah.
particularly in the publishing side, we get to see Vader cut down lots of Jedi. The one he gets
Mm,
his Kyber from, Eth Koth, all sorts
mm,
of Vader hunting
mm.
Jedi still happens. And
Yeah.
it's funny now to imagine like Obi-Wan being like the kind of he gets to a point in the story is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Unlike me, right? Like, imagine if he was like, Vader helped the Empire hunt him down. There's a program called Inquisitors. Oh boy,
Oh
the
boy.
grand one, right? His head was tall from a point of view, sometimes a little shorter. You can go on and on and on with every little nuanced detail. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, do you remember that time your aunt and uncle lied to you and said that the Tuscans were raiding? Eh, let me tell
Nope.
you about
Nope.
Reva.
Let me tell you, yeah, let me tell you about the third sister. A lot here. We have. I'm trying to think who's missing. Will what number is Barris now? I can't even remember. That's
I don't
but
remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
sixth brother is out there. We see in Tales of the Empire, but that's the one Ahsoka dealt with.
Right.
We also have Marek. I don't even know his number. I'm going to do a text to Alex Damon here soon to get all the numbers. But I like that it's ongoing. I like that. I don't know. There could be 20th sister, 21st brother. There's a lot to this program. I've got to imagine with someone like the ninth sister who does perish at the hands of Cal Kestis and Coruscant. Replace them. We got a new one. We got a ninth brother or ninth sister option. I like that. Do you have any thoughts on the brothers, sisters? The numbers, your favorites. Who do you like?
I like that it's incredibly hard to remember the numbers.
Yes.
the
Yes.
the naming convention is really fun, and it
Mm-hmm.
is great Star Wars sort of like how the outside of the Falcon can't be mapped in the real world to the inside,
Yes.
and you just
Yes.
got to live with that, and
Yep.
and yet there are cross sections. I just the that so far the ordering doesn't quite align to any specific logic.
Yeah.
I don't. It's they add new ones, so it's like, is
Mm.
the one from Rise of the Red Blades 13th sister, like they're clearly not going in order because she's pretty early on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very early. Yeah.
So I love that. So I love that they're hard
Mm.
to keep track of, and I love that I'm starting to get really. There was a time where it's just like, okay, I like them, but I can't keep track of them. But now I'm really really attached to some of the
Mm.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love the story with the fourth sister that she appears kind of as a background character in Kenobi with a couple lines,
Mm-hmm.
and then gets a big story in Tales of the Empire. It was really fun when I rewatched the Kenobi series with my wife this weekend. That I kind of just wanted. We didn't have time, but I just wanted to throw on the Tales of the Empire Barris episodes because, like, from my wife's perspective, she's like, I kind of remember the Inquisitors from Rebels, but the
Mm.
Kenobi show explains entirely to a wider audience who they are, what they are, how they work,
Mm.
and
Oh yeah. Good point.
I like that I'm getting attached to specific ones and want more stories from them.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You have your favorites. That I have a special place in my heart, which is weird to say about a Dark Force user, was Seventh Sister. Sarah
Hmm.
Michelle Gellar played her in Rebels because it expanded the idea. Because by this point, I know the Grand Inquisitors, I think off the map at this point, but like, I was like, okay, it's just one guy helping Vader. Oh, it's a team. Oh, it's an organization. It's a program. And the Seventh Sister, Fifth Brother show up. And I love the design. I love the use. And it just, by that point, I wasn't worried about it. Still had little issues with the helicopter blades. I still
Hmm.
even might, I'll admit. Only when they're in helicopter mode, when they're actually used to fly around. But I don't know, there was something I liked about them showing up, and that just made me think, oh, there's more I don't know to this program. And I'm excited to learn in a way I didn't think I would be after season one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's a ton to learn, but there's always more. I like the Eighth Brother because I think we know very little about the Eighth Brother.
Mm, mm,
That appears in the Twilight of the Apprentice episodes. The Eighth
mm.
Brother is incredibly acrobatic. A trait of his species, Trellian Django Jumper.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just hopping around. Uh, yeah, and he's the one who really has the hubris of learning the limits of a helicopter
Hmm.
lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that we're learning more about some of them, but some of them are still, we don't know their identity, their mystery behind the mask.
Do you have a thought on with second sister Riva? I think even the fourth sister, you see what's going on there. There is a through line that a lot of them are dealing with what they once were and what they allowed themselves to become, the choices they made. Some of them don't wrestle with it. A lot of them do. And anytime we spend anytime we spend more time with one of them, I'm not trying to say it's similar, but my point is I like that it's similar in a way. Like they would be going through this. You were all on the good team. And now you slid into the bad team. You should be wrestling with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important and valuable and powerful when they do use it. The Second Sister story comes to mind. I wasn't great at the video game Fallen Order, but her appearances and the use in her tragic story is one of my favorite things in that game.
Yeah, I think there's a remarkable consistency between the video game, between Tales of the Empire, between Reva's story and Kenobi, that these characters almost all were universally failed in some way by either the Jedi Order or by their mentor. You know, the painful story of Serjunda, giving up Trilla's location and identity and her being tortured. Like, so I think they're also this like deep picture of the Empire of taking a legitimate trauma, not actually helping people with the trauma, but weaponizing that trauma into, fear, anger, justification that the Empire is correct. And as the stories go on, it's fun to see that, in some ways, the Inquisitor program is sort of a mission statement of the Empire of we can take a wound and we can motivate people with fear and anger and rationalization. And once you start to add up the Inquisitors, maybe some people don't like this, but the Emperor's success rate is not great between the number of Inquisitors who either turn back to the light or get defeated by a rogue Boken Jedi,
I love that. It's the big overriding theme of the light side builds and the dark side destroys and tears down, and in the end does not win in this franchise, in this saga that we love so much. It would make some sense if the Inquisitors were perfect at their job. We wouldn't have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi.
Do you like the idea of an Inquisitor who has survived? Would you like a former Inquisitor, to pop up in like the New Republic era? Like, obviously we have Merrick, but he did appear to be long dead and kept alive by witch gas.
I think my gut reaction is to say no, but again, this has been the entire lesson of this program. It could be interesting, and you could play it out in a fascinating way. I'm not suggesting that I need to see one stretch as far as Rey going. We have a guest professor this week at the New Jedi Order. This used to be the 11th brother. But there's something to explore. I think seeing where you and I talked about, are we done with Barriss Offee as a character? Did she die? Didn't she die? All that. But there's something there with the Fourth Sister. I want to see where she goes now, what decision she's made after that, after those series of episodes. Yeah, so I'd be interested.
Absolutely. Want to know what happens next with Reva? Yeah, I would be fascinated with that. And they just every time that one of the Inquisitors is either defeated, but more often or turned to the light side. Not more often. That's more meaningful to me when they're turned to the light side. I do have an important question for you, Ken. Just looking, I'm going to hold it up. This picture of the Grand Inquisitor. And get my fingers off of it. Great picture. The way his hand is out, he does look like he's on Arrested Development, advertising his involvement in the Union of Illusionists, kind of vibe in that particular image. Inquisitors, there are dozens of us. Here's the 27th cousin.
I've made a huge mistake.
Their aesthetics, they're in books, they're in comics, they're on animation, they're in live action. How do you feel about their aesthetics? Are they to you like the kind of the cool, badass, scary side of Star Wars, or do they lean into the kind of the pulpy science fiction over the top?
I love that this is kind of where I wanted to wrap things up. I love this because the design is key, and for being in the in the Empire, on the Imperial side of things, where Palpatine doesn't really want you to have your own personality. They all have their own personality and designs, and I love that. And it has at times leaned to wonderfully absurd. I love the Grand Inquisitor design, magic hand and all. I don't love the Fifth Brothers design, but I like
Mhm.
that I don't. And I don't know, there could be some significance in the design that I don't want to step on and be insensitive to anyone who designed it. But I just love that he's kind of silly looking to me, but he thinks he's real badass. And there's something to this where, in 10th Brothers, completely different. Looks like a G.I. Joe ninja character from season 3 of the show.
Yep.
Merrick's a knight. Eighth Brother's got a knight. We got the almost weird, cult. The Sixth Brother has that cult conspiracy bird face.
Yes, yes, yes.
Barris was given I'd be upset. I was just you just kind of gave me a stormtrooper helmet. That's all I get.
I mean, Second Sister's helmet is way cooler.
Way cooler.
Yeah, Ferris's helmet really is this is we spray painted a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, and I love it, and some of them do look really cool in that classic Star Wars way. We do like this is red, white, and black. This is the cool colors. This is the toys we want, the shirts we wear, and how sometimes the message of the Empire gets wrapped up in nice marketing. But some of them, I don't like the Ninth Sister only because I had to play that level too many times on Survivor and Fallen Order. But I like the design and I like the difference in size, and I would love to know more about the choices behind it. Did Barris? Are we just assuming she got handed that, or did when we off camera was she given a form? Check the box of the design you might like, or what does this mean to you? I don't know. I want to know.
Yeah, I feel like I love the idea that they're allowed just a little bit of personalization and personality because they've also keep them hooked on the power game that they play so much in the Vader comics, but also in the Obi-Wan television show of who's going to be the Grand Inquisitor, who's getting favor from Vader. So allowing them a little bit of illusion of personality to make it not as clear how utterly they're being controlled, I think is cool.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I really do like that they have a variety of looks, not just in the design of the armor, but the species and the different mediums we've seen them represented in. With Dibs, with the 10th brother, being able to keep so much of his personality and his look. No mystery who you were back in the Jedi, dude. Everybody can recognize you, whereas others, hide their face and hide their identity. It's also different. I think I was just really struck by Obi-Wan Kenobi, not to the television show, not to open up the old wound of his head should have been taller discussions of Grand Inquisitor. For me, it's an adaptation from animation to live action. I understand where the first pound we saw was in Revenge of the Sith, Tion Madan, and his head was real taller. I love that Star Wars is pulpy and old school 30s, 40s, 50s science fiction fantasy to the point of sometimes being goony. And I know some people despise that, but I like it when Hondo just has a straight up flying saucer, from 50s. And the Kenobi show in many ways is very grounded, very gritty, very emotional, very sad. And then Grand Inquisitor shows up and is just pulp turned to 11. And I like it because it's a reminder that that's the world we're playing in. Is this can be the most serious, the most heartfelt, the most heartbreaking. And then a dude with the weird head and sharp teeth is going to show up. And that's the way it is. That's Star Wars, baby.
That's Star Wars, baby. The Grand Inquisitors, the Inquisitorius. That's Star Wars, baby. That's what we got. That's all I got. Any final thoughts from you on the Inquisitorius or any of these brothers and sisters of the dark side here?
Yeah, just really happy that I kept an open mind because I really enjoy learning more about them as the storytelling goes.
I agree with that. And yes, we grew up, you and I, in the original trilogy generation, and we didn't know about the Inquisitors yet. The important thing is yet. There's so much more Star Wars to come, and there's more things to learn. Well, thank you all for joining us on our little Will of the Force advertisement, as you might say. We do this every month on our Patreon page. All levels get access to it. We do video now. It used to be just audio, but now you can see some things we're talking about. We used to have to warn you, please pull over first before you look at the book along with us there. So we are ForceCenter. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Pod, Instagram as well. Facebook page is Force Center Podcast. Merch available at tpublic.com/user/Force Center. As a podcast, we are everywhere that has podcasts still. Search, you'll find us. Subscribe on YouTube if you want. You can support us directly, as we're saying, on patreon.com/Force Center. Follow me at Cat Knapsack. Go to my website, catknapsack.com, for more upcoming big comedy show. I'll be headlining Flapper's Yoo-Hoo Room. That's right, the Yoo-Hoo Room on June 30th in Burbank. So if you're local, come on out to a fun show. Joseph, where can they find and follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media. At Joseph Scrimshaw is my handle at all the many and sundry social media sites. You can also check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for links to what's going on with the short films that I'm working on with lots of great people. And you can follow my blog, Finish Your Monsters, link on the website on josephscrimshaw.com. That's it.
There you go. That's it for us. We have answered and listened to and heeded to the call and the will of the Force. See you next time.